Hello! So because I'm an Indigenous person, I'm a Mi'kmaq person from northeastern Canada, we have a very different view of schizophrenia than the Western world. Before my grandfather passed, he was a very wise man and he was respected by the community and he would always listen to everybody, and he was probably the most gentle man I ever met in my life. I asked him in our traditional language, what is the word for schizophrenia? And he said, it's the test of the spirits. Now, because we're in the modern day, I took it as spirits as in like your conscious, your subconscious, the collective consciousness, the shadow, just the aspects of the psyche, some of them that people don't want to look at in Western society because it makes them uncomfortable. But I took that to heart, test of spirits, in a very instinctual way. And so instead of getting mad and resisting all of the discomfort I was feeling, instead I embraced it and I tried to learn from it and figure out how I can live with it, how can I adapt, which is a very Mi'kmaq perspective and way of doing things. I find a lot of people who grow up in a westernized or colonized society are treated and taught to be almost like useful for production, useful for building like cities and all sorts of things and keeping together that kind of kingdom. The nature of schizophrenia, though, whether people like it or not, is that it's very wiggly and harsh at the same time, much like nature. And I actually think a lot of people suffering with schizophrenia has more to do with their discomfort of dealing with their subconscious than it actually does blaming what it is. And I know this because I've lived with it for like about 9 years, and I've been through it all. I've been through all the medications, I still take some. I have had a lot of tragedy happen in my life. I've had a lot of heartache, like down to the bone. I've had breaks from reality and psychosis so terrifying I would never wish it upon anybody. But at the end of the day, the only way I'm able to live in my house and drive and have a job and do things is because I listened to my grandfather when he said test of the spirits. I'm not here to debate any like spiritual thing or religion or anything like that. That's not what I want to do. I'm just saying, if you remove all the masks and all of the supposed to be's and all those things and you listen to your heart, sometimes the approach that makes sense to you the most is what will work for you in the end, as long as you're not hurting yourself or anybody else. And I find that if you want to stay in a loop of hell, and a loop of hating yourself, and a loop of never growing, you will look at your schizophrenia like it is a complete, like, horrific thing to have, and that there's no way out, and you're horrible, and you're evil, and vile, and this is bad. I think the voices that you hear that are like that are actually coming from you, and your self-stigma, and your subconscious being too ashamed and afraid to actually deal with all of those feelings. And I know this because I used to be the same way. And as I got older, I went, no. Like, I need to be who I am. I need to trust my heart, what I want to do, and how I want to change things in my own little way, in my own little corner of the world. I don't like the idea of putting a band-aid on something that is way more complicated and way more close to nature than the human ego. And I find it incredibly frustrating that there are a lot of people who talk about schizophrenia who try to shut out any aspect that makes you not ashamed of it, as if it's insane to embrace your misfortune and turn it into a positive. So I don't think it's inherently a bad thing, truly. I just think how you deal with it, how you confront it, and how you express it through action and through introspection is the only way you're going to get any sort of peace or any sort of semblance of a normal life in your life. Because at the end of the day, it's not about how uncomfortable you are with it. It's not about how they're uncomfortable with it. It's about how you deal with it, how you deal with it. Never look at someone with schizophrenia and say, oh, it's a gift, you're amazing. But at the same time, don't look at them and say, you're evil, you're vile. The best thing you can do is just say, this is what it is. How are we going to deal with it? Step by step, let's grow. I'd rather grow than decay. And so, no toxic positivity and no negativity. Just deal with it.